We're back in the shed and we're on the truck today. So the job today is like 2-3 years ago, it failed its test because the bump stop was dozed, worn out, and the bump stop is a big rubber block that goes on here, and basically you've got your suspension coil there and then the shock absorber here, and the bump stop is literally that. It's like whenever you go over a big bump and it's going to stress the main suspension components, you've got this big block of rubber here. So this, whatever bracket was on here, is rusted through. I can see a hole in the chassis cross member there, and their chassis member. So I'm just going to clean all this area around here, weld up whatever needs welded up, and then fabricate a bracket here to put the bump stop back onto again. The bump stop actually fell off in the road. I heard something clatter in the back of the vehicle, and I watched it in the wing mirror bouncing down the road. So I was able to go back and retrieve it. So it's it would be another fail this time for not just having no bump stop, but at all. But like half the thing is corroded around it. So that's the job today. Wish me luck. Well, as with everything with this machine, there's a bit more to it than meets the eye. So basically, everything that you see in the picture there in the white shape has to be cut out and remade on the bench and stitched back in again. Well, now we've done it. Yeah, I gotta make this piece again. That'll be fun. Clean out all that as well. Clean up all that and make this piece. Very good. Alright, we're back in the truck. So I've made most of a patch for this area here that you saw a while ago, but now I was trying to do too much at once, so I was trying to get round underneath as well, but the more that I was doing that, the more it's all disintegrating. You can see there, like I nearly pushed that up with a finger in places. It's so thin. So all this slot here, I'm gonna cut all that out. You can see there's a hole down here, and it's weak here, right down to this junction here. So I'm just going to cut all that out. I'm going to cut this off, the patch that I made. I cut this. You can see that I already started a wee bit down here. I started to do that, and then I thought, you know what, hang on a minute, let me measure up first to see what I've got. So I'm going to cut all this bottom patch off, so I'm just making a long rectangular strip to go in there. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take all that out now while this is off. I want to weld in at least part of this. And whether I haven't decided yet exactly whether I'm going to cut it this side and weld in that part and then go around the corner and into this. Going around corners, and especially going around corners, you can't see it in the thing, but the whole chassis sweeps around the corner, goes around the coil. The whole chassis sweeps around the thing that way, and then it sweeps across this way. So it's compound shapes everywhere. So then once I've finished, and then before I do that, actually, before I even weld that in, I've got this bit here, which should be here. Bit of the frame missing. So this is absolutely solid. It looks awful, but this is a thick plate that ends here, and this bit here has started to go, well, it's away. So I'm just going to cut all that out and clean it all up, make a patch, and then I'm going to leave this open. I mean, there's no strength. I'm not losing any strength by cleaning that up. It's already gone. So I'm just going to leave this open for now so that I can reach my hand in and finagle patches and stuff into place for to see if I can get a better weld on it. Not an easy place to get at, but we'll get there. So so this is the next. It's eating an elephant one bit at a time. That's the next bit. I'll decide on what to do with this bit now that I've got it made. Probably cut out that and make a whole rectangular patch for the bottom. Keep watching. Right, so this was the wee patch. This is the wee patch I was making the other day. Nearly ready to go in. I was just finally shaping it. And I realised that the bit beside it here was moving a wee bit. and yeah, it kind of grew a bit. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut this template out, which fits inside here. This is one part of it. There's another part that's to come out as here, orthogonally to this one, once that one goes in. Got a patch there that'll go up into there. It's not quite fitted yet. It's fitted shape wise, but it needs to be bent into the right shape. So that goes in there. I've then got to weld on the wall here onto that, and then weld on the suspension support again. I can't, sorry, that was very loud. I can't do any of that yet because, let me see if I can find my other torch. Let me see if I get this light. I've just jacked up the exhaust under there. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look through there, you can see all the holes. It's like Swiss cheese, and it goes all the way down, and that's in behind the, well, that square hole is meant to be there, but the other ones aren't. So that's all behind that this chassis member here, and you've got all the things like the exhaust and stuff. I just can't get at any of it, so I've just literally just jacked up the exhaust. That was the last job I did before I came in. I've just jacked up the exhaust so that I can get at these pull the rubbers off, and I'm just going to ratchet strap the exhaust that way a bit and crawl in underneath and see if I can get at the damn thing. But yeah, wish me luck. Nah, it's been a while. Been a little while since I did an update video, and so where we are at the moment is I have one patch on at the very back, way in behind here, which is a tricky one to put on. That was the hardest one to put on. I have a second patch in here now that goes in behind all that lot. So this bit here is the suspension mount thing that I cut off to be able to get at the back here. And I've just made this template. If I can lie down here, I will show you where that goes. So that goes like that. So I've got to cut that out, weld it to this portion here, and then weld all this lot back in again, and then weld up that side on the top part. Whew, a lot of tricky Tetris type rebuilding to do. And then after that, then there's this one here which I've already got the patch made for, and then there's another patch to go underneath the whole lot there. So at least it's at this stage now where I'm starting to put things back together. Well, here we are on the latest saga. So if you remember, I've got to fit back the last half of the suspension mount here, the shock mount and that was what I meant by there was a kind of another wall that needed built onto it. So I've just welded that on here. So this has to fit back into thereabouts. Got to make sure that the old things line up. A little bit of fettling to do. It's not too bad. Not too bad. So that, whoops, sorry, I can't see it from the back, so I don't know how well lined up it is at the back. That's not too bad there. So I would weld this back in again, around where my finger is going, and then weld in the other portions in here, and that should be that complete again. And then we're only into that bottom one under there that you can't really see. And then the big one that started it all, which is over here where I'm waving my finger again. Lots of finger waving. Anyway, it's starting to come together. So actually we should be able to see underneath it a little bit. It does weld up quite well here. There's a bit there, so it might end up with a patch here and a longer patch here. But we'll see. Okay, time for another catch up. So as you can see, I've got this part, this is the shock mount, the shock absorber mount, welded back in again. There's a couple of touch-up bits that I need to do to that, but that's okay. It's just a little rough around the edge down here, for example. and the but that is, and let me see if I can show you the inside. And again, there's a little bit of touch up needed in here, so I've got to get myself into position. Oops, sorry, fingers in the way. So that is the inside kind of wall that had to be done as well. That was the last thing that I just did. So you can see at the top there's some welds and stuff that need to be cleaned up a little bit, and just to make it a bit prettier. But anyway, work has continued on the underside, and you can see, sorry again, I'm wheedling myself into position here. You can see here that I've cut this big hole out, and what I did was I just ground it back until the metal was pretty good, and I made a paper template and cut out a patch which I've got attached to a tack stick here. I'm just going to move this back a wee bit and see if I can balance it somewhere. So I've got this on a tack stick. I'm looking through the the lens, the screen here, so I can't really see what I'm doing. Anyway, this is just an old screwdriver or whatever else that I use as a tack stick. I tack the thing on. It's just if you put your fingers in the way, sorry, if you use your hands, you know, welding gloves and whatever else on to try and make things fit, you can't really see what's going on. So I just usually tack this a bit of a screwdriver on. You can see this does fit. Sorry, I'm having difficulty getting it through the screen. So that's even holding itself. Look, hands free. That's now ready to weld into place. I was originally, as you know from earlier in the video, I was talking about doing a whole big patch all along here, but in actual fact a lot of this metal is good, so it's only a couple of areas around here that have gone. So I'm just going to do those, patch in the big patch that you saw originally. That was the start of the whole thing, and then I have a tiny little thing to open up down there, just in that corner where it's a bit weak, and I'll just open that bit up and make a little patch for that. Well, it's kind of hard to believe that after all this time this is the last major patch going in. I've still got to make the little thing to hold the original bump stop, but it's solid underneath and whatever else. I'm not going to crawl under there now. I'll show you it whenever I've finished this all up and got it all buttoned up. I'll do a quick run around the whole thing. There we go. I'm carrying on welding. So this is a quick reminder of what things looked like when I started out, and the original mounts and stuff, and here it was when it was at its worst. Angle grinder and a lick of paint makes me the welder that I ain't. Perfect. Who could say any different? I'm not spraying this bit yet because I've still got the original bump stop bracket to make, which I'm going to do now. But that's the rest of it all finished. Okay, so as mentioned in the last video, we're not back to square one really, in that the truck is back to where it was repaired, but still without the bump stop bracket. So that's the next job here. This is the bump stop, obviously. You can see that it's got a kind of a jaunty angle to it. Whenever it sits flat, it's higher at one side than the other, and that's only because it sits at a slight angle. The axle doesn't move vertically up and down. It kind of goes in a radius position. It's got a radial arm that it swings on. So the way that this will attach to the thing is I've cut this plate out here. That will go. That'll have two holes in it. I've got to mark the two where the two holes are, and that effectively will go on there. And then out of this piece of C channel, I've cut this bit here, and this will go on around about here somewhere. And then there's a kind of a ledge at the back of it that I have to leave, because that will then go under the chassis. The chassis will sit like this. So this bit gets welded vertically onto the chassis, and this bit gets welded on the underneath of the chassis. So, and that gives me my bump stop back again. And this will sit, you can see it's at a jaunty angle at the moment. This bit will sit vertically like that, and the bump stop will be at a slight angle. So there you go, that's the way it should be. So I'm going to get on with making the rest of this, and probably by the next time you see it, it will be welded on. I might have to trim this down a little bit. I've left it deliberately on the large side, but that will get, I can trim the back of it as necessary to bring it down in size. So that's where we're at. Okay, now things are starting to get a bit tidier around here. I've cleaned away a lot of the tools and bits and pieces. I haven't quite cleaned under the truck yet. I'm just getting to the point of putting the truck back onto its wheels. But I just wanted to go to the side of this light. I bought this light from, I don't know, Lidl or somewhere, and it's just it just came like this. And what I've done is I've mounted it on an old gooseneck thing so that I can move it into position. One of the things with welding is that you cannot see what you're about to weld once you put the goggles on. And it's not a darkening helmet, so but there's a lot of shadow and stuff in here, so you need something fairly bright to train onto it, just so that you can see the weld puddle and see where you're going. You can see because quite often what you might be doing is like this, and then what you meant to be doing welding a seam up this way kind of thing. And so once you take off the goggle, the helmet, and look, you've gone way off thing, and there's still a crack up here. Yeah, strong light is needed. Probably better welding equipment as well, but just to give you an idea of like how many times I broke this wrestling it about underneath the thing. That's not the only joint, there's another one over there, and it's just anything to try and get the thing going. But let me just show you the front of it, because this was actually a new lamp. So this is the state that it's in now. You can hardly see the lights. That's all kind of molten metal, and you can see that the glass is all cracked with the heat. So the poor thing has had dog's abuse, absolute, complete, just torn to pieces. But it still works. I'm just going to switch it on now. We'll put it still works, and it's helped me throughout the whole thing. So now to the what is the finished thing in this part of the truck, and here we have the finished result. Shock absorber back in again. A little bit of paint over the whole thing, newly minted bump stop bracket, and that's all welded in the front, on the sides, underneath, all that sort of thing. So I'm quite pleased with the job. I have no idea whether or not it will pass anything in the test, and so it'll go in a few days' time with a little bit more work to do to it. It'll go in a few days' time, and I will probably end the video here, and yeah, you'll know if it's passed or not. You'll hear the screams if it doesn't. Anyway, thank you very much for coming along on the journey with me. It was quite an epic one for me, but it got there in the end.